Los Angeles, I'm and most Hollywood nights. She goes to California, oh, California.
What you say about Los Angeles?
LA got the people saying,
You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy, the show that talks 100% LA Galaxy soccer. We're glad you could join us. Now it's time to sit back and relax as your hosts navigate through the twisting, turning, but never boring world of the five-time MLS Cup champion, LA Galaxy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. I'm your host, Josh Guesman, coming to you on Thursday, April 22nd. Welcome home, everybody. The LA Galaxy will be playing in front of fans this weekend for the first time in over a year. We're going to get you ready for that game. The New York Red Bulls in town. A lot to discuss in that. We have some breaking news for you. Absolutely breaking news. Nothing I've tweeted. Nothing that I've put out. Yes, I will drag it to the end of the show to make you listen to this whole thing. Breaking news is headed your way. A lot of stuff, some rumors in there, some Kevin Cabral information that we're going to get you as well. So some things we're going to go sort of work our way down into. And to help me do all of that, he's back. I know you missed him. I know you needed his dramatic game previews. We got that for you, too. Here he is, the Portuguese hammer himself, Mr. Eric Vieira. How's it going, buddy?
It's going well. Glad to be back. You know, even when I wasn't here, I still made sure to mail in my mail-in ballot for my dramatic game preview. So, but it's nice to be live for real. Again, forgot how to speak, but good to see everyone in the chat. Some early people in there. So excited to be back. Excited to break some news and talk some LA Galaxy soccer. Best time of the season. Still early. Right before the home opener. Things are good right now.
I was going to say you can't be in a worse position. You know, like there isn't a better position than for the Galaxy to be in, right? You played one game, you got 3 points, checked off all the boxes. We talked a bunch about that on Monday. Is sort of how you couldn't have asked for it really to go better. I'm not saying the Galaxy played perfect because they didn't, but you couldn't have asked for it to go better because all the big things that you wanted to have happen happened. And so I think, you know, for that's kind of a win. I want to get your thoughts on the game, but first, Aaron already dropped in a $5 super chat
already.
Yeah. And you know, Aaron's been in the chat room, I think, for 30 or 40 minutes already. So I think he was talking to himself for most of the time, but $5. Can you identify all the song clips in the intro? Maybe Eric can do it with a fake accent. We know Aaron's convinced Sophie has a fake accent. So
what all the songs for my intro from last week?
No. Our intro.
Oh, this week. Oh,
yes. You know,
our intro.
Yeah, our intro. Do you hear?
I'd have to hear it again. I don't have a photographic memory. There's there's Sugar Colton there, right?
I think there's some Sugar. I don't even. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I don't even know if I remember. Here, I'm going to play it for you again.
The hills of Los Angeles. I'm going to get roasted because that song's like a K-Rock every morning, and just it's escaping me right now. And man, all right,
here,
I fail.
I'm going to play it. I'm going to play it for you here.
All right.
Los Angeles, I'm
Nope.
and most Hollywood nights.
Nope.
She goes to California,
I'm off on this.
California.
What you say about Los Angeles?
It's Tupac, right? And man, now I'm really feeling myself. This isn't good.
All right. That's
I went over. I know those. This is one of those when you're on the spot and you're not prepared. I fail. Send me home. Get the weenies out. We're done.
I was going to say that I would tell you what they are, but I don't even remember what all of them are. And it's hysterical because I did this intro 6 years ago, maybe. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not that long, but it feels like it was 6 years ago. So it was a lot of things. I did write them down, however. Because people were always asking. So if you would like, I have the answers for you right now. Do you want me to give them to you or should I? Okay.
Please.
So
yeah, Aaron wanted him.
Yep.
He got to see me flounder. I hope it was
Yeah.
worth it.
Yes, it
So,
was.
Let's hear it.
Okay, Los Angeles is burning from Bad Religion.
Bad Religion. God,
Uh-huh.
how do I not have that?
I don't know. There's
Yeah,
some of
that's
these
bad
are.
news.
I
Yeah.
feel like some of these are a little obscure, like not super, but Los Angeles I'm Yours by by the Decemberists. All right, Hollywood Nights by Bob Seger. I Love the Way She Said L.A. by Spitalfield. To Live and Die in L.A. Tupac. L.A. Love Fergie, and then Los Angeles Sugar Cult. So there you go. Those are the ones, and it is on our website, by the way. I would just like to point that out because I had to look it up. So you're good. Yeah. So I think everybody was good. All right, back to Miami. Tell me about it. What did you think? I get to talk about it, twice a week. So I'll let you talk a little.
Well, obviously the result. I'm very happy with the result. Being able to go on the road and get 3 points, I was very pleased with that. I think the first half, was a little frustrating. It seemed like Miami was bringing the heat a little bit more, and then looked like an offside goal from my eyes. To see that happen right at the death of the half, I thought was a bad sign, especially when you're away in the heat. You thought maybe the legs are going to slow down and it's going to be a little bit trickier for the Galaxy. But also going into it, knowing that Miami, because of their COVID protocols, they hadn't really got, a full preseason. So maybe that was going to be the turning point. And then we got to see the Galaxy kind of turn it on at the end. And then obviously the soft penalty, but to see Chicharito score goals, that's the biggest takeaway. And I know it's not as fun, to say because it's your DP, and to have him, that's like the super obvious answer, but at the same time, he hasn't been scoring goals. And so to see that actually happen, and to see him happy, and to see the team rallying around him, and him getting super excited about scoring those goals, I mean, that's what it's all about. So to have him, tie the game twice, and then question, bending it the way he did and just kissing it off the post. And then again, seeing Chicharito, how happy he is. It just seemed like the team was, rallying around him. It's almost like they knew what that the pressure is, and all eyes are on him. And so they were really rallying around him. So I saw a lot of good play in that second half. And Zubak, he, for someone who's been critical of him, he came in and really hustled and made things happen and caused chaos. And if that's going to be his job, where I am down on Zubak is, obviously the first touch and ball control and, taking players one-on-one. That's not his game. But if he's just going to go in, and hearing Vandy talk about it, and just throw his speed and just be like a chaos agent and go in there, I could totally see him working perfectly in that role. And so that I like him in that position. So everything in the second half was great. And I think we were texting about this, that on a good day with the VAR calling that offside and not calling it a penalty, this could have been a 3-0 Galaxy win, and we're not even talking about how close this game was. But that wouldn't be fair either, because Miami really did have a lot of good shots. Bond had a big game. He made all those saves. We don't want to compare, but we compare. How many times did we see a bunch of shots last season? David Bingham be peppered and some questionable goals get let in. To have, whenever a team is firing and having shots on target, to have a capable goalkeeper make those saves and to feel safe back there, the goals that Bond let in,
Right.
A pass basically into space, there's nothing he could have done there, and then a penalty, well struck penalty, you can't fault him for any of those goals. So having a capable goaltender really makes all the difference in the world. So I'm pleased to walk away with 3 points. I'm happy with the way they played in the second half, and I think at the end of the day, it wasn't a perfect game. There were things that can still be improved upon, but if this is the starting point and they're improving from here, I'm pleased that this is a nice starting point.
It is. It's a good starting point. Everything I think needed to happen that happened, and so you really get a lot. There was, rightfully so. Let's credit the LA Galaxy for a little behind the scenes videos that they've been putting out, and little I mean, one is to feel good about a victory like that early in the season, after miserable years of, and certainly 2020 was a miserable year. You can go back to 2019 and say, hey, it was a little better, and it was, but it's still there. Nothing has been great. But after miserable years and having a win, but not just a win, but an emotional win, an uplifting win, a confidence building win, all these things. So the Galaxy go out and, as they rightfully should, hype it. hype it like crazy, get the B-roll footage from the down low on the sidelines, right? I mean, anything that's not from overhead from the television cameras, and sort of put that together in a video and string it together. And I don't know who's doing their video editing, but it's been spot on lately as far as I've been concerned. It's tugging at all the right strings for everybody. I mean, even they had David Beckham walking past all the fans, to start, and the fans are clapping and David's giving him the thing. And it's like, it means something, and you can tell the whole thing means something, and the videos mean something and all that. But there was something, and it's certainly something I want to play. And I know most people have got it. I asked the LA Galaxy whenever it came out if we could have this video, and they said absolutely. So that was nice of them. They've been, by the way, so forthcoming with video and B-roll and everything else. They've literally given us here at this podcast carte blanche to do whatever we want with any of their videos, any of their graphics, any of their stuff. And that's a change. It hasn't always been that way, and I'm telling you right now, it's a very good relationship for us. We get to share it with you, and they're providing a lot of information, and it's a lot of interesting stuff. Now, if they start sucking and it all goes sideways, do we keep does that stick?
That's the funny thing. The video editing, I would argue last season the video editing was just as good. They put out some great content last season, but when you have great B-roll and you lose 4-1 or 6-2, it's really hard to put out a hype video. So to their credit, when you win, it makes it a lot easier to put those things together.
Well, they had a behind the scenes video, and we haven't had these in the past. And even when Bruce was around, I don't think Bruce liked cameras in the locker room. That certainly didn't seem like something he would probably tolerate. Greg Vandy's a little bit different. And so the LA Galaxy were nice enough to let us use this video, and this is Greg Vandy's talk after the LA Galaxy won. They've bleeped out all the bad parts. By the way, I would like to say it makes me feel a lot better that Greg Vandy has a mouth similar to mine whenever I'm not, on a podcast and stuff like that. It makes me trust him more that I know he swears a little bit. So we have Greg Vandy here giving his speech, and I know probably everybody here has had it, but I wanted to include it because I think it's an important thing for us to talk about. So here is Greg Vandy's post-game speech to the players. All right, here it is.
I want you to take a second, right, and remember the feelings that you have right now. Because in our pursuit to try to be great, which is, I think, why we're all here, we cannot be afraid to fail. We cannot be afraid to put it all out there all the time. Sometimes we will fail, sometimes we won't. But if we leave it out there every time, we will always be proud of ourselves. We'll always be proud of each other. The second half, we put it all out there. And if you do it, you can be great. There's no reason why you guys can't be great, all of us together. Okay, but we cannot be afraid to fail. Go for it every time. Okay, every time you get the chance, go for it. Okay, I trust you guys. Let's go for it. This is just the feeling you have when you get it done right. We had to make up a couple moments here in the game that maybe didn't go our way, whether it was offsides or whatever, but you fought, competed, and you laid it all out there for like 90 minutes. If you do that, you're going to win far more games than you lose. Okay, and it always feels so much better when you lay it all out there and get it done. Congratulations, you deserve it. You earned it. The first one's maybe the toughest one, and now many more to come. But that emotion and the feeling you have laying it all in the field has to happen every single time, right? Every single time you guys have it, we can be great. Okay, this is just the first step, right? Well done.
All right, there we go. A little bit. I know the audio is not great. Clearly, they didn't have a microphone on Greg Vandy. Clearly, they were doing this sort of shooting from the hip. And then my guess is they even took the on-camera audio. If you're really talking about audio stuff, I can usually tell. They took the on-camera audio and they had to boost the ever-loving Jesus out of it in order to get it up to where it is. But what you're seeing there is... and whenever I reposted this on Instagram, I'm going, sometimes a coach makes all the difference. And it's something we can underplay sometimes. It's something that we can overplay sometimes. And it's something that can mean nothing or it can mean everything. And right now you're seeing it mean everything. And yes, it's one game. And as we said on Monday, first game hyperbole, overhype, just go to the moon with it. Drink the Greg Vandy Kool-Aid, Eric. Drink it all down. But what you're seeing here is one of the reasons that the team has drunk the Greg Vandy Kool-Aid right now and why they are Greg Vandy fans. And there's a part of that, and they zoom in on the on the whiteboard, and Sasha Kleshin actually wrote up on the whiteboard, and I think it said, if I remember, it's like brothers. Yeah, play like brothers, family, right? Underneath it. And that's so corny. I mean, if I'm like, well, we're a family, right? The whole deal. But it's not corny here. It's not corny at all.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing about it, and you're right. But I'm just also not going to gloss over Greg Vandy's outfit almost called him Granny. That's a terrible nickname.
If he starts
We-
losing, you can call him
blend them
Granny.
together.
Yes.
But Greg Vandy's outfit, we were worried coming from Toronto with the scarf, what the look was going to be. He was very with Miami with the T-shirt, Miami Vice type of look. I dug it, so I just want to get that out there. Kudos to you, Greg Vandy, whoever picks the outfits there. But you're right. Going back to that, play like brothers, family. It seems like that's going to be kind of the unifying theme of this season. And what it reminds me of is last summer we all saw The Last Dance with about Michael Jordan and the last season with the Chicago Bulls. And Phil Jackson walked into that season and he had that theme already set, The Last Dance. And so when you have, kind of basic themes like this, family, play like brothers, play united, have each other's back, that can be a unifying theme for a whole season that keeps these players motivated, keeps them grounded, and you keep circling back to that and give them the reason why they're playing for it. And we've seen teams be successful with things like this. I think it was Doc Rivers when he coached the Celtics. They had a slogan, Ubuntu. It was an African phrase that meant similar. It meant family, play like a brotherhood, playing together. And that kind of led, as a Lakers fan, you didn't like it, but that, propelled the Celtics to playing together and fighting for each other and going on a championship run. So it is kind of corny, but at the end of the day, you need things like this. This is what good motivators do. And you have this unifying theme and it guides you through the entire season. So I'm not mad at it. I like it. If that becomes the unifying theme for the season, they kind of landed on it, whether it was Kleshin who kickstarted it and now that becomes the thing. But Vandy seemed to build on it as well with saying, we're going to play for each other. We're going to fight for each other. It seems like Kleshin didn't think of that off the top of his head. It seems like Vandy, that's something that he's probably been preaching. And to your last point about how coaches make all the difference, again, I did the same thing with Bingham and having Bond placed a little bit above him, more than a little bit. Same thing. We have to think about GBS. We didn't see content like this. And I think the argument could be made, well, he wasn't an English speaker. He was a Spanish speaker. But at the same time, the Galaxy have a Spanish account. There's a Galaxy Spanish Twitter account. They have, there's a Spanish speaking audience. They very well could have cut these things together in Spanish and then subtitled it underneath. I think when GBS when he first arrived, he gave an impassioned speech and they put subtitles under it and that, people were kind of fired up about it. But you didn't see this. You didn't see this type of stuff from GBS. You see him on the sideline with his head in his hands and whether that's, bad editing or whatever.
Right.
But at the end of the day, we didn't see this from him. So you're right. The coach can make all the difference. Vanny seems motivated. He has a message that he's unifying behind his team. The players seem to be playing for him. So yeah, it's one game, but at the same time, it just feels like this could be moving. The ship could be turning.
As normal, pause for a second for a super chat. Herb in our chat room, $25 super chat. Herb, I think that means you get to host a segment.
Yeah.
So if you want to kick Eric out of the
he's going to sit in my chair. Thank you, Herb.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Says thank you for all the hard work putting the show together, all the stuff behind the camera we never see. What you didn't see today was me frantically editing video and trying to get everything ready for tonight, and then like adding audio together. It's a whole thing. Basically, we panic for like the last 15 minutes all the way up. That's fair, right?
Absolutely. And just to give you a peek behind the scenes, because you paid for it, Herb, is every clip that you see, there's audio that needs to be adjusted to it. So it's not just like, okay, throw the mics on, let's roll. There's little nuances of things that need to happen. And I can't take any of the credit, but
I was going to say, what do you do?
I'll say it happens. I'll acknowledge that it definitely goes on behind the scenes. There is a lot of hard work. It mostly falls on Josh, but again, I like to be the foil to him here on the other side, but appreciate the super chat.
Yeah, absolutely, Herbert. Big shout out. If you send me an email, I'll send you some stickers. At least I can do for that. We appreciate it. No, one of the other things that I think this points out, and it's something that we highlight, but people don't. I get it. And even now, it's harder. In a pandemic, I don't get to be in the locker room. I don't get to see it as much. You don't get to sort of interact. When you're in the locker room, you are part of this living, breathing organism that moves around and you sort of get the feelings sometimes. You get who likes each other, who doesn't like each other, just standing in the locker room. It's harder now. But we talk about Sasha Kleshin as a leader, and people roll their eyes whenever we say that. It's not nothing. It's not, him being up there means something. And yes, he's the elder statesman of the squad. It was funny. Larry was asking Sasha after, I think it was after his goal in Miami. He was like, you're 36 years old. Did you ever think maybe you wouldn't come back for this season? And Sasha's like, no. right? It's like almost an
Thanks,
insult,
Larry.
right? It's like, yeah, I know. Sasha's going to slap him, So Sasha probably already doesn't like me for the whole, misreporting where he was going to go so ever long ago. One of these days I'm going to get him on here and we can actually do this. And I can apologize for being a moron and young. But no, the whole thing, it matters. Sasha Kleshman being on this team matters. Chicharito, I know people are rolling their eyes whenever they're like, oh, he's not a leader. He is a leader in that clubhouse. You can hear the people talking. You heard Lejet talking about, they're not just saying it. They don't just say things. They will leave things out when you want to know whether or not watch for what they leave out, not for what they talk about. Most of the time that gives you a better idea of what they're actually feeling. So we see this and, it feels different. I can say that. I've been covering this team for 13 seasons. It feels different.
I think what would have been maybe a more fair question to Sasha Kleshman is someone as it gets to his age, you think, well, maybe I'm not going to score again. When is that going to happen? Especially someone who maybe plays more of a defensive role and maybe in a bench role, maybe, he's not going to hit that score sheet again. And so to have him get that goal, that gives him that confidence. Nothing, hits the fountain of youth like scoring a goal that makes you feel good. So to have Chicharito have that monkey off his back, and then to have Kleshman scored as well, and to feel like he's going to be a heavy contributor. We talked about it all off season. You want to bring these veteran leadership guys because they're going to help mentor the younger players, and there's quite a bit of youth on this Galaxy roster. But there's something about being there before and knowing how to act and knowing what motivates teams. He's been around some big clubs and played in big moments, and you need guys like that on your roster. We caution that you can't have a roster full of those guys, but you need guys like that on your roster. And so it was nice to see him get going, and it just feels good. It does feel different right now, and you're right. It feels good. Everything's good until it's not, until it's different, and we see it go the other way. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there, because obviously I don't think the Galaxy are going to go 34-0-0. And we can talk about the standings and what the 0-0 stands for. But they're going to reach adversity at some point. And so we'll see how they bounce back from that. And they got a little bit of it here. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. When they get down, do they get down and quit, or do they get down and fight? And then if you lose to a better side, you lose to a better side. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah. By the way, Pam in our chat, and hey Pam, how's it going? She was in Miami. Pam says, Sasha on COG, please. I try. It is really hard because Sasha's a family guy, as you know. And so whenever he's not playing, training, he's usually with family, and he takes that time seriously. And I totally respect that. We will do our best to get him on and see if we can do that. But yeah, absolutely. He's one. Derek Williams is one that we want to get. By the way, somebody was asking earlier about Derek Williams. Back to training, slowly working his way forward. I don't know if you saw the Galaxy Town Hall that they did for season ticket members. It was actually for anybody, because anybody could click on the YouTube link. But
yeah, once they got it.
Yeah, once you got it, you got it. But if you saw that, he talked about, wanting to come back and is getting pretty close, but really that's up to Greg sort of when he's going to insert him. And so, yeah, I mean, you're going to see that sort of change come in. By the way, Patrick, a little $5 super chat. We appreciate that, Patrick. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a good couple of days, I think, for everybody. Well, not everybody. The LA Galaxy did have a little hiccup. There was a little bit of a problem with some pre-sale tickets that they had.
Okay, yeah.
You're like, where's this going? Everything was fine. Everybody was happy.
Breaking the news now? Is this happening?
No, I haven't. And thank you for reminding me. I still haven't breaking news. We're going to totally draw this out. You're not going to like it. I'm just going to say you're not going to like breaking news. So I'll leave that. I don't want to ruin everybody's good mood. Season ticket member sale went a little bit sideways. What happened was premium season ticket holders, I think on Wednesday. Was it Wednesday when all that was supposed to happen? I can't even remember. What's today? Thursday?
This week has been about 4 weeks. So yeah, that was like 2 weeks ago. Feels like Tuesday, maybe Tuesday, and it was the initial rollout, and then they rolled it out again on Wednesday. I don't know.
Yeah, so something
happened
like
this
that.
week, and then
it happened
this week.
See, this is whenever you're like, okay, that wasn't the most important thing for me to remember this week, but it is something I want to make sure I talk to you about. By the way, season ticket members, here's the problem: the credits that you're supposed to use that are part of your season tickets. You paid money, you have credits, you can then use those buys. Apparently those weren't showing up, and so you only had an option of buying from credit cards. Now this only affected the premium because premium went on sale at 9 and everybody else was supposed to go on sale at 11, right? And so it wasn't. So basically what happened was LA Galaxy saw it. They saw what was going on. Everything was a mess. I got like 6 or 7 messages from some premium season ticket members that were like, it went sideways. It's not going well, the whole deal. I asked the Galaxy, they're like, yeah, we're stopping it. So they stopped that pre-sale. They refunded any money that was given. So that way it's all clean slate. Nobody has any tickets, none for the 3-packs. Remember, this is for a 3-pack of the May 3-pack, which would get you the LAFC game, the Austin game, and the San Jose Earthquakes game. So it's a good 3-pack to get.
Yeah.
And the Galaxy are selling these, but AXS had a whole bunch of problems and it went sideways. So that was...
Yeah. And this is a little bit different than the first go around. For the home opener, it seemed like getting tickets, it was a pretty seamless process. I'm not going, but I was able to assist someone who wanted to go, and I had a little bit of an earlier time, so they wanted to secure their spot, and so I helped them out and logged in a little early, and it did have the option to use the credit or to use a credit card to make a one-time payment. So if that wasn't there, I could see how that's being an issue, especially if you want to use that credit because, rightfully so, that's your money and you want to, don't want to add an extra expense. And especially when it's a 3-game pack, because the Galaxy obviously we're smart about this. If you have the crosstown rivals in this and then your other Northern California rivals in this, you want to, it sounds bad, but it's good business to sell this as a multi-pack because
it is
the one-off game. Instead of just selling out one game, you now ensure that you're going to sell out all 3 games, or at least maximum capacity of those 3 games.
Yeah, I was going to say, can we talk real quick? I was talking to some people at the LA Galaxy because we were just sort of talking about, fans coming back and how things were going to have to change. Basically, I was asking about press because we normally have 2 to 3 people that we credential, the whole deal, trying to do it. And obviously there's limited spots. And so whether or not, I don't know if both Larry and I will be going to the game this Sunday. Maybe it'll just be me, which will be, I really hope Larry can be there too. That was one of the things, but I won't be able to go to every home game. I have a small child, so Larry will certainly get to go to some as well. So we'll go back and forth with that and sort of figure out, but we were talking about that. And, it was sort of reminded me that even with fans in the stadium, it's not like the LA Galaxy are making money off these games. In fact, it probably costs them more money to do this now than it would to be just have an empty stadium, because you have to get security, have to have concessions, you have to do all this stuff that sort of sets it up. That being said, your new sale date for season ticket members is Friday, April 23rd. You're listening to us on Thursday night if you're listening live. If you're listening to us on the podcast, hopefully you're doing it before 9 a.m. if you're a premium, and you now know, and you read your email, so you didn't need us, but 9 a.m. for premium, 12 p.m. according to the email for the rest of the season ticket members. Just those 2 waves coming in there. So you will have a chance. Supposedly everything has been fixed. Good luck. Godspeed. May everything go your way in this one, and everything happens. So
I was gonna say, may the odds be in your favor. You got to get the Hunger Games line in there, and this is why it pays to watch it live, because now this is coming. If you somehow missed the email and it didn't go your way, you now know this is coming tomorrow. Or if you're an early listener, if you're a Friday early AM listener, then you're going to be able to catch it. But if you saw the email, you should be good to go.
By the way, somebody said that they were going to super chat us, I think $100 in TAM, $50 in Jam, and an international spot as well. Let's see. Is it past 7:30? It is. I didn't get to see it, but my good friend Mike Gray, I don't know if he's in. Yes, he is. He is in there. Mike, please tell everybody that you restarted an LA Galaxy website tonight. Make sure you put everything in there. All right. So tell everybody. But Mike used to be on the SB Nation, the LA Galaxy Confidential. He's gone dark for a little while, and I kept poking him, trying to figure out why he wasn't doing it anymore. Well, he started his own LA Galaxy website. I'm sure it's going to be amazing. So please go check out my good friend Mike Gray, and hopefully I'll see him back in the press box. Love you, Mike.
Yeah, I love Mike too. Yeah, I got to give Mike a shout out too, because good dude. I met him when we finally did our live shows. Remember when we used to do live shows and
with people
would gather? Yeah,
we did it. We did it like 2 or 3 times. Let's not pretend like we were doing it all the time.
It still felt good.
We're charging for tickets next time. I'm just letting everybody know. It's definitely $5. I'm just,
but Mike Gray, good follow on Twitter. Good dude. So yeah, go support him once the details on that come out. Then we did. Also, we're getting some questions. The Galaxy family added $5, but it says message retracted. But I did see something in the chat about my Since '96 merch, and I will say it is good quality stuff. It is embroidered. It's not add-on. So just if anyone is asking, I'm with it. I'm hip with my Since my gear. This my drip. Sheesh. Is that what the kids are doing? Sheesh.
I wouldn't know. I don't even know why you're asking me. So absolutely. No, just showing some support from the Galaxy Family Discord, from Galaxy Family. Great show. Look forward to the game on Sunday. Everybody is. I'm pumped too. Big news. Kevin Cabral is coming to America. Kevin Cabral is expected to arrive early next week. That's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. Greg Vanny sort of hinting at that, or actually just flat out saying it, that basically It is he has his visa date. He's supposed to get it. He is then coming. However, the breaking news, this isn't the breaking news I was going to tell you. I've already tweeted this one out. The breaking news that I had was that, and we've seen it in the Instagram posts, we've sort of seen it, and so I finally asked the question, because I'm slow, is would he be coming alone? And the answer is no, he will not be coming alone. His twin brother, and I don't know which one's the older one, by the way. I don't know who came out first.
That could be one of the first questions that we ask is who's first? Who's on first?
I don't know if we're getting the older Kevin Cabral is the young DP, or if Remy Cabral is the older one. I don't know which one. But however that goes, Remy Cabral, twin brother of Kevin Cabral, will be coming to LA with him as well. He will be joining LA Galaxy too. So the Galaxy get a 2-for-1 deal. I wonder if the transfer fee wasn't baked into a little bit of that in order to get both players. You have to remember that that Remy Cabral was playing at Valenciennes, their B team, so their lower league squad, and he was playing there, and so that was a thing. I think they both came from the PSG academy. I think they were both there at some times.
I would imagine. Yeah. And it was one of my favorite things is whenever a new player's coming and the barber always gives it away. They were getting their dreads cleaned up and ready to roll out. So it was him and his brother. So then that kind of the domino started to fall. Well, is his brother coming? Because they both were getting ready to go. So I think the last player that came with the brother was Christian Pavone, brought his brother as well. I think he was training with Galaxy 2. It didn't seem like it panned out for a spot for him. But it looks like, Kevin Cabral and Remy Cabral, that might be a little bit more optimistic as far as this being a legit G2 signing and not necessarily a good faith favor.
A question. What if Remy turns out to be a player? What if this could turn out to be one of those genius moves. If nothing happens, you don't really care, right? If it just goes away, Remy Cabral doesn't make anything, nothing really happens at LA Galaxy 2, blah, 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 whole deal. It's not going to affect anything as long as Kevin Cabral, who is the young designated player, who, got transferred apparently for like $6 million. He's the one that they put all of the money into. But if Remy Cabral comes in and Remy is a player and eventually maybe finds his way to the first team and that time, imagine that you had, the LA Galaxy, Dennis Closa, Greg Vanny, Jovan Karofsky in the mindset of we're getting two good players for the price of one type thing, and how much that can sort of change or alter your view of the Kevin Cabral deal. To me, if that happens, it totally switches like things. And I'm not saying we're hyping any of that. I'm just saying that it could eventually pan out. These are young kids. These are not old kids. So these are young kids. I wonder they both have the same birthday. You think maybe they were born like minutes apart, but on different days? That would be cool. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, but to your point, again, their youth is something that needs to be emphasized as well, because you're right. Twins, one being at a higher level than the other, sometimes you think, well, if they're genetic makeup is the same and one is already further along, then that's the better twin. And sometimes it works out that way, but sometimes people peak at different ages and everyone's development's a little bit different. But so if they were raised the same, kind of have similar skill sets in their academy, who's not to say that Remy might not eventually crack a first team and we can see a lucrative future. So I think it's a good risk to take. And if nothing else, if Remy doesn't pan out at all, having Kevin bring his brother and having a familiar face, a family member, that makes that transition a little bit easier, because sometimes when these young players come over new to the country, doesn't speak the language, having a familiar comfort around you is not a bad thing. So at the very least, having a brother, someone come with you, a family member, that's a positive, and I think that's a good thing to keep Kevin comfortable so he can focus on his game on the pitch.
It's that's another part of this too, is that Grancia also 24 years old, so within the same general age range, French. Sasha Kleshin being able to speak French. We now have Kevin Cabral, French. We got the French side there. We also, it seems, because we have more breaking news, still not the one I was telling you about. The breaking news that we had was during the town hall was that Chris Klein said that there are at least 2 more signings coming in. Now, we know one of those. We've talked about him, but I can confirm that this is one of the ones that Chris Klein was talking about, and it's Siga Koulibaly. Siga Koulibaly. I'll get it right.
Well done.
And I've been told it's Siga and not Sega. That doesn't mean we can't change it, but you're gonna have to. If you're gonna change somebody's name, you're gonna have to really you're gonna have to make it. You're gonna have to sell them on it. So I'm just telling you.
I think one thing I've learned is being a co-host for a little bit is the demographic of this podcast, kind of the age range, and you can't throw those 4 letters that spell Sega in front of someone in our age group and not have us see Sega on there. So it may take a little while to adjust to saying Sega, but totally get it. If
Baxter
you
still can't say
mispronounce
Zlatan, so I don't think you're in any. You have plenty of time to adjust. You'll be fine. So
Fair enough.
We'll get there. But again, Koulibaly, 24 years old, plays the right center back position or center back position, basically. Can also play some right back, but looks like he's being brought in as a contender for a center back position. Dan Ster is currently playing the right center back. We imagine that eventually Derek Williams will be playing the left center back position and take over for where Nick DePuy is. There's arguments whether or not Gonzalez will find any playing time. It just doesn't feel like that at all. But hey, that's something there is. But Siga looks like he's coming in to compete for a starting spot.
This feels like the Pipo replacement, really. Someone who's a League Two player who's coming in with his age 24. So you'd like that he's a little bit younger than Pipo. It seems like Pipo is going to be moving on. Either if it's not this summer, soon. It doesn't seem like he really has a spot on this team outside of maybe being some bench depth. So having a backup for Daniel Stairs and then someone who could potentially, fight for that position as well. That's not a bad thing. Competition sometimes breeds, better play from your players. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. So I like it. And I'm curious to see how he pans out. And Vanny being a defensive minded former defender, and obviously he brings that to it. I think if he's had some scouting on this and he's seen it, I think having as many, strong defenders as possible is a good thing. So we'll see how it pans out. Obviously you never know until you see these guys play, but I'm optimistic on this signing.
Yeah, playing for League Two, Nancy AS, I believe is the name of the team. 22 games played this season, 1,702 minutes, averages about 77 minutes a game. I imagine there were some substitution appearances in there, plus some starts in 90-minute games. That's sort of seeing how it goes. Has 2 goals, not that matters for center back, but we always put that in there anyway.
So I said it's there. You don't. If there are no goals, you're not off-putting. It's
right.
Not off-putting. But when there's a couple in there, that's a good sign. Those set pieces, those corner kicks.
The other part of interesting stuff is that France and the U20, he's played at the U20 level, U18 level, U17, U16. I mean, this kid at one point was a prospect. I think it's probably fallen from where that was, and that's okay because you don't need a French international in order to come play center back in Major League Soccer, especially whenever you're probably not spending a fortune to sign him. You're probably not paying him a fortune. He's fitting into a spot, and the Galaxy probably have that spot. I doubt he's a TAM player. I would be surprised. But there's still room out there, I believe, for some TAM players, and the Galaxy are running out of spots.
Yeah, Transfer Market has them at about 330,000. So however you value Transfer Market, that's kind of where they have them. And I think I've said this multiple times, but I'm just going to be a broken record and keep saying it. A League Two player in France, someone who was a youth, maybe national team guy, but maybe has fallen off. That's the type of player that is ready for MLS and can succeed in MLS. Your DPs, you want higher level, top level talent because you can kind of break the bank and afford that. But outside of a designated player, we have to be realistic with ourselves that you're not going to sign Premier League players or League One players to fill in your depth position. These are the types of players that you're going to get. So, having a pedigree like Kevin Cabral with the PSG Academy and coming up, it's not a bad thing. Same thing with Siga, playing on the French national team coming up and maybe falling out of favor. Not a bad thing. He's had that exposure. It's there, and it's just a matter of unlocking it, getting the mojo right and getting going again. So we kind of have to be realistic with ourselves that you're not going to sign Premier League players at every position. Getting a League Two player. I think we're going to preview the Red Bulls game. Their forward, was playing in third division Brazil. That's and who knows how he'll pan out this season. So it's okay. We don't need to scoff or sit in the ivory tower like MLS is this. Best league in the world. It is the best league in the world, but for different reasons. But you can pull talent from some of these lower leagues.
I thought the best league in the world was the Super League. By the way. I was gonna laugh at this because my dad actually came in and was talking to me. He was like, "Oh, so what do you think about the Super League?" I'm like, "I'm watching it dissolve as you're talking. Like there is no Super
By the
League.
time
It's over." There was somebody in the chat room who said the breaking news was probably that the LA Galaxy were invited into the Super League.
That's not it. I was going to say the funny thing is I had 2 weeks off, and you would have thought, oh, I missed the Super League cycle. But had I been on last Thursday, I would have still missed the Super League cycle because that came and went so quickly. So yeah, what a crazy times. Yeah.
We asked him this on the Discord, and if you haven't joined our Discord, please do. There are a lot of people on there. There is some constant Galaxy talk throughout the day. You can almost always find it. I think we've cleaned up the news channel now, where you can basically just scroll through the news channel and just pick up on all the stuff that people have found over the day that is Galaxy news. We're starting to do so. So please go on the Discord if you can and do it. But we asked in the Discord, we're like, okay, so if some MLS teams were going to start the Super League, who would it be? And then I think Nutmeg News came out with Seattle, Atlanta, and LAFC start Super League, right? And I was like, nailed it. There it was. Yeah. Okay, we're good here. Everybody can move along.
The MLS pundits would have been pleased with those three creating a Super League.
Somebody said, by the way, they're like, well, the Galaxy would definitely be in the Super League. I'm like, no. I go, you have to understand what Phil Anschutz wanted whenever it happened. He had a chance to sort of take the Galaxy somewhere. By the way, I do not doubt for a second that if Phil Anschutz had a chance to put the LA Galaxy in Liga MX in like a new Super League, that he wouldn't do it. I'm not going to give him too much credit.
I was going to say, that's where the Super League messed up. If they would have pulled an American audience with how they filled the Rose Bowl and in games in Michigan with 90,000, 100,000 when Barcelona played there, they would have been smart to bring in one of these MLS clubs if it was allowed.
Back to the LA Galaxy here for just a second. Chris Klein did mention that there were 2 new signings. We told you 1. We do not know. I imagine you don't know, Eric. I apologize for speaking for you. I do not know.
Haven't been doing the research on. I don't have my scouts in France checking it out.
Yeah, I don't know who the second one is. It was funny in the chat room. They were asking, why the LA Galaxy suddenly raiding the French cupboard there. I have to imagine they think that they have found undervalued players in a position to where, and in a market where they think they have some leverage to be able to go out and get these players for what they consider reasonable prices, and that they're undervalued for the marketplace. They're exploiting what they see as weakness in the marketplace. That has to be one of the reasons. The other reason is I think that they know some agents there, and it makes it easier whenever you have, some connection.
That's my more cynical view of it. I think you want to find the diamond in the rough, and I think 2 seasons ago it was go to Central America, South America, find that your undervalued player who a mid-level salary in Major League Soccer would make them a very high paid player in their home country. So kind of trying to find someone. Seems like it's a similar thing with what they're doing in France. My more cynical approach is they probably have a scout who knows someone in France, and that's where they're looking, and they just have someone there, and that's where they're looking, and so that's where they're pulling people. I don't know if that's right or wrong. Again, I'm not the one with the connections or who has the inside scoop, but if all these players are coming out of the same region, someone's over there. They know someone over there who's able to see all these games. So that to me is what it seems like as well.
We had a listener who DM'd both of us. We won't share the listener's name just because we're about to tell information that maybe that somebody didn't want out there, or however it was. But we appreciated the DM, Eric, you and I, and they were talking about how the LA Galaxy, while they were in pursuit of Giovanni Dos Santos while he was at Tottenham Hotspur, that they really wanted Giovanni Dos Santos. This is back in the day a little ways, right? They really wanted Giovanni Dos Santos. They really wanted him. They were going after him, and Tottenham was like, no, you can't have him. But we have Robbie Keane. Do you think maybe you might be interested in Robbie Keane? I would just like to point that without Giovanni Dos Santos, the LA Galaxy possibly wouldn't have had Robbie Keane, and therefore would. Isn't that crazy?
It's wild to think about that. That's the way Robbie Keane landed. And if going back, you're like, yes, give me. You mean the conversation wasn't for Robbie Keane, and then you back ended on Gio? Yeah, it's crazy when you think about it like that. But at the time, it makes sense. Robbie Keane was kind of a traveling for hire there.
Yeah, he was. The other part of this is we said we don't know who the second person is. The Discord was snooping around a little bbit and found that basically Dennis DeClosa did follow somebody who is in a position of need. Don't know if it works. 27-year-old Omar Salgado. Now, you may remember Salgado as a guy who was extremely hyped in Super Draft, came out. If you want to go back, and I forget which year it was, but Vancouver Whitecaps, I think, drafted Salgado. And they passed on Darlington Nagbe in order to get the Salgado, right? So, I mean, hindsight 2020, that type of thing. But at the same time, when you go back and look at those, you go, ooh, just missed on that one. Salgado has basically been playing everywhere. And as you know, we do follow who Dennis DeClosa follows, because that can tip us to where he is headed. 27-year-old backups. You're thinking about a backup striker, possibly Salgado as a backup striker. He was an American. He has dual citizenship between Mexico and the U.S. The Discord was talking about how he was getting a lot of hype at the time, much like Efrain Alvarez was, of both national teams wanting him and pulling him and doing stuff. Just cautionary tale for everybody who's sort of following along. But anyway, that's just something to watch. That's not a rumor. I'm not going to say it's a rumor. I'm just saying that was something that popped up.
Now that you said it on the show, it's got to go on the tracker. But
I'm not putting it on the tracker.
2011 is that year, that super draft year, not super league draft, but super draft. So since 2011, kind of fizzled, played with, it was technically with Tigres, but was on loan to the Tampa Bay Rowdies, El Paso, the Las Vegas Lights. So kind of USL level type guy. And when you think of a backup striker, you think, okay, maybe I could see a possibility. 6'4", big dude. But the question mark that it raises is, and again, we don't know if this is true or not, is Augie Williams is someone we've been keeping an eye on, and maybe he's someone who's going to get that first team call up to be a backup striker. If this is someone who doesn't take up an international slot or whatever goes along with that, maybe he edges them out, and we see Augie Williams stay put at G2. So we'll see if this affects that at all. Because it seemed like he was on his way, practicing with the first team, getting minutes in those preseason games, and then it's kind of gone quiet on Augie. So curious to see what happens next with him.
They were saying maybe perhaps in the chat room, they're saying maybe perhaps Salgado is a G2 signing. At 27 years old, that sort of times him out of Galaxy 2. Galaxy 2 is a younger team. So you can understand why perhaps that would, maybe time him out. We'll see. There's some, I hate to say this, but there are throwaway spots at the edge of the roster that, like, yes, you're going to put them in, the super supplemental, which won't count against your salary cap, won't do anything, and they have to be paid less than a certain amount of money. I mean, Salgado fits into all of that if that was actually going to be.
I was going to say, it's we lovingly call that the Gordon Wild spot.
Yes, yes, absolutely. That is the spot that is there. All right, let's get to the breaking news. This is stuff that is likely to be announced tomorrow. And before we get into this Red Bull game and a little preview, I know Eric's already licking his chops, ready to go for that dramatic game preview. He's ready to bring it. He's live here this time, so it'll be a lot more fun. But the breaking news is this: we told you about Sebastian Lejet and his eligibility for last weekend. Now we're going to tell you that Sebastian Lejet, probably being announced tomorrow, will be suspended for 2 games. This is because of the video that he posted, and so he will miss the next 2 games. That puts him out against New York Red Bulls, and that puts him out against Seattle, the trip up to Seattle. Amazingly, and this is going to be a criticism of Major League Soccer right now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue about the punishment and however that is. I think we've covered that to death in a bunch of different ways. What I will say is, amazingly, Sebastian Lejet was able to make a nationally televised game against David Beckham and drew one of the highest ratings out of any opening weekend game. I think it was 465,000 or 485,000, somewhere in there.
It tripled MLS Cup last season's views. Yeah.
It was a big number. So miraculously, he makes it for that one. U.S. men's national team player, blah, blah, blah.
Becky G was in attendance.
There was a whole thing there. It was all on video. Everything was there. He didn't play a particularly good game, but that doesn't mean anything. He will be suspended for the next 2 games, but miraculously, again, makes it back in time for LAFC. I can't sit here and tell you that any of those things are coincidences.
Yeah.
The investigation was cut and dry, open and shut. He apologized. Everybody knew what was happening, and this feels like a manipulation of the disciplinary policy.
Yeah, absolutely. The investigation was done that night. Once he took it down and made the statement, and then maybe after the press conference, you could say that maybe it was really done and dusted. But you're right. The decision could have been made, probably should have been made before the Miami game, but they knew where their bread is buttered, and this brings a lot of ratings, and they held it off. Again, I don't like to be the cynic and say the jig is up, and this is the whole game's rigged, the whole court's out of order. But it's pretty obvious here. It's a bad look for MLS because it looks like they played favorites here, and they did play favorites. The thing where you maybe push back against it is because context matter, and I know we've kind of beat this one to death. the suspension, maybe I could have seen him not getting a suspension, but I also could see the fact that MLS put a statement and they were investigating. I knew nothing. It's not like nothing was going to happen.
They didn't.
Yeah.
redefine the punishment, and that was one thing I thought they might do, because if the other people, when we told you, the people who have yelled homophobic slurs and anger at an opponent, the whole deal, have gotten 3 games. Sebastian Lejet didn't do that and got 2 games. If you gave him 3 games, then anybody who did that has to get like 6 or 8 games. Like for that, you couldn't. You didn't want to redefine that. And I wanted to see if MLS wanted to redefine that. They kind of hid from it by only going 2 games.
They did. They I don't know. When it happened, I was upset that it was like, this opens a can of worms that like we don't need to open this discussion back up, because you have minds that are not going to be changed regardless of what happened. But it also could have been an opportunity for him, like you said, for MLS to address it, maybe make some change, bring some nuance, bring some context, talk about it. Let's have the conversation. And they didn't. They hid behind it, and they just took it at face value and are presenting a punishment for it. So it's too bad, because Lejet is someone who was technically in form when he was playing with the national team, and he did contribute. I don't think it was his best game with the Galaxy in Miami, but that's, people have their ups and downs. They're not on 100% every game. He's someone who last season played very well, so it is a hit, especially when you look at those wings and he's filling a position where they don't have anyone with experience on those spots. So they are going to miss him on these upcoming 2 games.
Pam points out that Becky G sang the national anthem at this game,
right.
So that was also a thing. I didn't catch that from the broadcast, so I didn't see that, and I didn't see anybody, but that was good info, Pam. Thank you. There was a lot being said. Sebastian Lejet didn't have both logos on both shoulders. He was missing, I think, the Herbalife 24 one, but
they stripped him of his logo. That was one of the punishments.
That was
the sponsorship.
I can guarantee that wasn't it. What probably was, however, was that Becky G was definitely wearing a player issued jersey with both of the ones there, and I have a feeling she got Lejet's player issue, and then they had to get him another one, and they didn't have it pressed with the logo. I actually think that's what happened.
That's a great story. Yeah, the player issued went to the Becky G.
Went to the girlfriend.
He had to use the leftovers. He had to go to the Miami team shop to pick one up.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. This is what happens though with Lejet not being able to play on the wing, and basically we're still expecting that there is still a hole in the wing. Kevin Cabral's not in, so he's not able to fill in that spot. So the Galaxy are missing. I would imagine it opens up a starting spot for Dunbar. Sort of puts him in there. We can talk about that as we get to this New York game. But anyway, that's where we're at with Sebastian Lejet. From everything I know, that should be announced tomorrow that he'll be suspended for 2 games. We'll see. Watch, MLS will change their minds and not do it or something like that.
You get out 1 game for good behavior. Maybe he does something to shorten it. But no, it seems like it's done.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. All right, let's get to this. The LA Galaxy versus New York Red Bulls coming up on Sunday, April 25th, 2021. It is a 2:30 p.m. Pacific time kickoff. New York Red Bulls coming to Dignity Health Sports Park, broadcast on Fox Sports 1. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you will be allowed back in the stadium. I'm very, very happy about all of that. So we're things are starting to get maybe almost normal. We're getting there.
We're close. We're so close.
I'm fully vaccinated on Saturday, so Sunday, I'll probably be making out with everybody. That's what I imagine. Nice. I don't know if my wife will like that.
I was going to say, you may want to let her know.
Yeah, I'm starting with Mike Gray. I'm just letting you know. I don't know if you've been vaccinated, but you know what? I'm willing to take the risk. So it's going to be interesting. I should be there. I imagine I'm going to get approved and be at this game. Hopefully I get to see some of you there. Socially distance, wear your mask, stay safe, all that stuff. All right, Eric, I know that you missed last week, so I'm hoping that this week you can do this for us. Is that okay? Are you ready to go for a dramatic intro?
I'm ready. I've been waiting. I'm very excited. Hit the mood lighting.
I will. I'm gonna bring it down. I'm gonna go black on you. I'm gonna bring it all the way down, right? And then we'll start it from there. All right. So if you're ready, a short little pause here, and we'll get you going. All right. All right. Here we go.
LA Galaxy fans, this Sunday it's time to go back home. And I'm going to quote one of the greatest songwriters of our generation, an American Idol sweetheart, Chris Daughtry. I'm going home to the place where I belong, where your love has always been enough for me. That's right, the LA Galaxy are back home, and the boys will be wearing tech green at Dignity Health Sports Park for the first time ever. The monkey is finally off of Chicharito's back. Are we going to see this new confidence lead to more goals in front of our friends and family? Can Ethan Zubak continue the pace and be the Galaxy's new super sub? The tide seems to be shifting, and we will see if the Galaxy are for real as they take down the wounded Red Bulls of New York, who were beaten at home and now need to fly across the country to play an inspired Galaxy side. This Sunday, let's all get together like Motley Crue, because we're on our way home sweet home.
All right, there we go. Ooh, are you okay over there?
It's a good one. I like it.
Yeah, it was
Crew. I was ready.
I wish I would have had more time. If you would have given me a little bit of heads up, I could have gotten some Daughtry on here. Like, the 3 seconds of Daughtry that we really needed in order to make it happen.
3 seconds of Daughtry just sounds like a punishment.
That sounds like a podcast, doesn't it?
3-game suspension for 3 seconds of Daughtry.
Oh man, it'll be a good one. No, I mean, this isn't super interesting game. Totally different than Miami. I went back and watched, the supercut of Sporting Kansas City play New York Red Bulls. I'll tell you right now that at least from the start of things, New York certainly had the high press going. Greg Vanny talked about it. By the way, can we talk about the other breaking news thing that we didn't talk about so far? Is that Greg Vanny hasn't watched Ted Lasso yet?
Yeah, that's breaking news right there. He hasn't watched Ted Lasso. Everyone's watched Ted Lasso. He's got to get ready for season 2.
What does he do? What else is he doing? Like, why?
He's probably looking at other film of other teams and breaking down strategy. But come on.
It's Ted Lasso. My good friend KJ, she was saying that she expects our next shirt, which, by the way, I've been a total slacker on and I haven't been doing much on, but she expects our next shirt to have like a Ted Lasso like Easter egg in there, something like that, maybe a goldfish or something as it goes. But yeah, it's I can't believe Greg Vanny. Quite honestly, if the Galaxy fired him tomorrow for not having listened or watched Ted Lasso, I would understand it. I would understand it. I'm just saying, I'm not on the Vanny out train yet, but after, and he said it like, oh, I'll get to it. Greg, no.
Tonight.
Honey, sweetie, no. You need to watch it. You need to get with your wife. You need to get with your kids. I mean, there's some F words in there, but it sounds like you swear anyway. Get in there and watch some Ted Lasso because it's good for your soul. I think, quite honestly, the team should have to watch it before every game. That's what I think. I
was just going to say, if we can go, play like brothers, be family, what's a little belief to anybody? It's all right there. You know what? There's a team. There's a team in MLS, I can guarantee you, that is Ted Lassoing their way through the season. Yes. I don't know who it is. We're going to find out, by the end that there was a coach who was heavily inspired by Ted Lasso. I've
been watching a lot of Adam Savage because I watch YouTube because it's better than TV for most of the time. And Adam's always doing his builds and stuff, and he builds props and all sorts of things. And I want to build a believe sign because I think it's right about at my level of being able to do, and have that back here in the studio somewhere.
Perfect.
Right. Maybe Greg Vanny could build one for the locker room. Maybe we should make one, Eric, and we'll send it to the Galaxy and they can put it in the locker room. So anyway, by the way, season 2 comes out on my birthday. Then yes, that was on purpose. They contacted me and asked if that was okay. July 23rd, just in case anybody wants to get me any presents. All right, so there it is. Back to New York. New York plays a super high press. We've seen it. Greg Vanny has struggled against it throughout his entire career. He doesn't have a great record against New York whenever it comes to that. No matter who's in charge of New York Red Bulls, they play the style of Red Bull across the world, which is high press, high pressure, very narrow right now. They're playing very narrow, which is why Sporting Kansas City was able to get around the outside and score some goals. But if you watch that game, New York had a lot of the ball, a lot of the pressure in the early. I shouldn't say a lot of the ball. They had a lot of the pressure in the early part of this game, and then they got tired. This is similar to Miami. I think if you're transplanting this team from the East Coast, and they have to fly all the way out to the West Coast, Eric. They have to be here. They have to sit there. They have to be on the airplane for 4.5, 5 hours, whatever it is, in order to get it. And then they have to come out here and they have to train, and their body clocks are all messed up and stuff like that. That they're going to get tired more quickly. Okay, good. They're going to get tired faster. Exactly. And so for me, Greg Vanny was even talking about this, by the way. He says, I think that pressure actually could help us because I think we play better when we're forced to play quicker. And when we saw in the Miami game, first 60 minutes, the Galaxy really did sit on the ball a lot. He said something I've never heard, by the way, which is amazing. And I love whenever coaches blow my mind. He's talking about Adam Saldana, and he goes, I'd like him to play a little bit quicker. He goes, I thought that sort of it's good that he doesn't get rattled. It's good that he's calm on the ball. He goes, but if he gets rid of the ball quicker, he can give his time to somebody else. I never thought of it that way. And it's one of these like light bulb moments where you're like, what?
Time is precious. It's finite. Yeah.
And if you have a lot of time on the ball and you're able to give the ball up quickly, right, then you're giving that time to somebody else. The time that it was going to take for somebody to close down and somebody to close down you as the receiver of the pass eventually, you get more time to be on the ball whenever that time is passed along. I imagine then if you're able to one pass, and you saw what the Galaxy were able to do whenever they scored the goal with Ethan Zubak, and even the if you're able to one pass. Yeah,
the
and
Vasquez turn, that's a perfect example of that, is that one touch finding the open space that happened so quickly, but that's what opened up the space to the goal. So yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think this does suit the Galaxy. If Dunbar is someone who gets the start, he's got some pace with him. So if New York is pressing, and then you're able to catch them on the counter, and Chicharito makes the same type of runs to get in position, this could bode well. So you're looking at a Red Bulls team who lost at home, maybe he's a little bit dejected, and then comes across country and, playing a team that's feeling themselves right now. I like the Galaxy's chances. I really do.
Yeah, I know. Who else?
Why are we doing this? Why do we do this?
I don't. Who else likes the Galaxy? I'm not used to this. I haven't done this in a while where this has happened. Eric, do you know who else likes the Galaxy's chances?
I do. Tell me anyway.
538 likes the Galaxy's chances.
That's
got to be the kiss of death right there, right?
That's what I was saying. We were saying this before the show, and we're doing our show prep. I was like, when was the last time the Galaxy were, favored? This feels like it hasn't been a long time. Even against Miami, you thought, well, Miami, without having a preseason, maybe, and being a relatively new team, maybe they'd favor the Galaxy, but they didn't on the away trip. But 44%. To 33% and then a 23% draw. That's not bad. So again, that could be the kiss of death, because we know 538 can go very, very wrong. But it feels good to be the favorite.
We shouldn't get too excited. Yeah, 44% for the LA Galaxy, 33% for New York Red Bulls to win, 23% of a draw, chance of a draw from 538. We like to always follow 538. Here's the thing about New York. They were absolutely toothless on attack. You can sort of look, and I'm going to throw the lineups from the SKC game here. So New York Red Bulls in the red. Fabio was MIA for most of the game. Caden Clark scored their only goal. He's a 17-year-old homegrown. Yeah. He is the real deal, by the way. I mean, he can play. And he played last year too. This is not his first game. So he knows how to play. He can do it. But they had White in there as well, who I thought was just not a factor at all. Quite honestly, their biggest factor was Andrew Gutman at the back, who was a good left back, but still ended up giving away a penalty kick when the ball came up and hit him in the hand. So they have some talent. They actually went out and made some signings, though. That's sort of where it gets a little iffy for the LA Galaxy. They signed Frankie Amaya from Cincinnati, right? And that was for $950K in general allocation money. That's some serious general allocation money.
Yeah. Well, he was a big prospect, supposed to have a bright future ahead of him. Southern California connection also.
Yeah, and they also signed a young designated player who I don't think will be ready for this game. Klamala from Celtic is also their young designated player. So
Polish international, correct?
I don't know if I have no idea, to be honest with you. I just read the article and I was like, oh, okay, we're gonna have to mention that. But that's for sure. So yeah.
The good news is, irregardless, he won't be here.
Irregardless, he won't be here. I don't think he will be. Let's put it that way. We'll see. Anyway, so that's where we sit. Now, here's an interesting stat fact. Josh pulled it up out of his game tracking, because game tracking doesn't really work in game one. Like, I can't publish charts with one game. But you know what I can do? I can publish charts after one game.
There it is.
Yeah, I was going to say, the little tiny things down here. Basically, what you're looking at is, through the first game, how the LA Galaxy have done over the years. And so you can see that in the last 26 years, the Galaxy have only won the first game. Let's see if I'm saying this right. Excuse me. In the last 26 years, the Galaxy have only won the first two games 4 times across the entire season. We can actually see it on the next slide as well.
First two. Got it.
Yeah. First 2 games, only 4 times. The last time they did it was in 2010. They did it in 2002, 2000, and 1996. So you're talking about a serious gap in terms of when the last time the LA Galaxy have won the last 2 games. I'll tell you this as well. The LA Galaxy have won the first game and tied the second game 4 times as well. The last time they did that was in 2015, 2013, 2011, and 2004. There's nothing really interesting about that. I just thought it was, my interesting thing was that they have not won the first 2 games since 2010. And that would be something significant. 2010 was a Supporters Shield winning year. Yes, it was. Got knocked out by Dallas in the playoffs. I remember that.
I was going to say that lets you know, obviously, I think you need points to win the Supporters Shield. So it makes sense that, that the season that they won the Supporters Shield, they won those first 2. So the funny thing is, because you know how we are, because then this chart's going to come back. If they manage to get 3 points, then if we're feeling ourselves now after an away trip to a semi-new franchise like Miami, after beating the Red Bulls, who seem to, it's funny because I saw it in the chat. These aren't your mom's Red Bulls. Like, this is a very different team than the Red Bulls that kind of had a little bit of a dynasty on the East and were always a playoff contender. This doesn't look like the same Red Bulls team. But for some reason, it doesn't matter when the Red Bulls play the Galaxy. It's just always a thrilling game. So we'll see. We'll see where it pans out. Aaron Long's a name that stands out. Someone like Daniel Royer,
I was going to say,
the bench for them. He always seems to kill the Galaxy whenever they play. So it's going to be interesting to see it. It's probably going to be a good game, probably a back and forth game. But I think the Galaxy, the way Red Bull, they're not the same team that they were over the past couple of years. And the Galaxy with the new management and the way they're playing behind each other right now. I feel good about what's coming up this weekend.
Yeah, I put the lineup after the subs too, so you can see Daniel Royer comes in, which is a little bit more like people were saying. I don't even know who these guys are. Yes, and they have had some injuries. They've had some things. Valo, I think, is coming back after an injury as well, so he's there as well. So we'll see how they fit in there. But for the most part, the LA Galaxy, I mean, I'm sorry, they're favored. What do you want me to say? They should be.
And they should be. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if that's good. I don't know if that's bad. I'll tell you this. If you get 6 points out of the first 3 games, you have done what you were supposed to do out of the first probably 4 games, which is get 6 points and sort of do that. Now, every time you do that, you increase the expectations, right? The LA Galaxy won the first 2 games, then you expect them to go up to Seattle and also compete against Seattle, which, by the way, everybody's telling Seattle they're not good, and Seattle is just fine. They're not. They're going to be a very, very difficult team to play against.
Yeah, I was going to say,
calm
Seattle,
down, everybody.
There wasn't tons of turnover in Seattle. Obviously,
that's why they were saying they were going to take a step back, as that team is getting older, right? And I get it. But yeah, I mean, outside of the best team in this league is very obvious. And I'm surprised that people actually even have to stop and think about it. It's the Columbus Crew. They won an MLS Cup last year, and they got better in the offseason. They drew with Philadelphia, who's also a good team in the opening. And Columbus, quite honestly, probably, if they wouldn't have played Champions League, they probably would have won that game, in the middle. So 0-0 draw between Philadelphia and Columbus. There was a lot of good soccer. There's going to be more good soccer this weekend. I'm so excited for everybody. I brag because I got to go to games last year. Eric, you got to go to some games too.
Yeah, very fortunate.
And that was fun and it was great. And I joke about the parking, but it's not a thing that needs to. I would much rather you guys be here. So Chicha on pace to score 68 goals. So he's
I did
he's
love
right
that
up there.
stat.
Yeah, he's absolutely correct stat, by the way, on pace to score 68 goals. And as Aaron says, 34-0 at this point. I mean, really, the Galaxy on pace for 34 wins. So always good. Sitting 3rd in the Western Conference, I think 4th overall in the Supporters Shield with goal differential, and not like it matters anyway. So,
but something that I was surprised with the Supporters Shield standings is only one of 8 teams to get a win that first week. So when you think of how many teams are in the league, only 8 got 3 points, and so that's good company to be in the top 1/3 to 1/4 of the league.
Yeah, it's great. Mike Gray points out that Shep Messing being their announcer guy or their color guy is one. I watched some of the highlights and Shep was on there. I'm like, yeah, there it is. That's there. And they're a good team. So you can't dismiss them, but they're not there yet. They're not a finish. And by the way, the Galaxy aren't either. And that's why this game is a toss-up. That's why you can't sit there and say for sure they're going to win. They should win if they play like they did last Sunday with the ability to close in the second half when New York is going to get tired, then I think the Galaxy have a good shot at it. We'll see. Without Sebastian Lejet, Julian Araujo comes back, so Araujo should be starting it right back. That should give the LA Galaxy more speed on the right-hand side, so maybe some combination there with Grant Sierra if he's on the right-hand side, or if they invert him on the left-hand side. Maybe people are saying that maybe Efrain Alvarez will get a chance to play in this game.
Saw his name popping up along the chat. Yeah, it's possible that he gets it. But speaking of Araujo starting, I thought Fisher, Miami tried. It seemed like they were trying to go after Fisher. It seemed like that's where they wanted to push the game through. But I liked what Fisher brought. I thought he was very scrappy. He looks like someone who's going to bring it when he steps into those situations. So I liked what I saw from Fisher. But I'm also excited to see Araujo finally get on the field. You know, he's someone who I expect to make a big leap this season.
All right, and final thing before we go, MLS messed up their website so badly, I'm ready to go strangle them.
It is bad news.
This is the worst thing. This is the worst thing that happened this week. I know Sebastian Lejet got. That's not the worst thing. The worst thing that happened this week is that MLS, without telling anybody, all right, I want you to know my stats that I gather by hand are based off of some hard truths about how you go about listing things. And in Major League Soccer, it's not 26 years, but for 24 years or 23, as soon as they got rid of the shootout, has been listing the standings in terms of how you have wins, draws, and losses as wins, losses, draws. That is how they've been listing them. And I've always said, well, that's stupid. It should go really from wins, draws, then losses. And that's how the
standings, yeah.
And that's how a lot of the world goes. But MLS has never done that. They've always kept their way. So all of my stuff is formatted that way. Every single thing that I have, and I'm talking about probably hundreds or thousands of lines of Excel spreadsheets, MLS decided to go wins, draws, and losses now. And it threw me off. I was looking at the standings, looking at things, and I'm like, New York didn't draw. I don't remember. I looked at it and I go, that didn't happen. It's all messed up. They screwed it up. And just totally screwed everything up.
Yeah,
so
that's what happened when they released the power rankings. Is I saw teams 0-1 and 0, and I was like, how are they on the top of the power rankings, losing the first game and they're climbing or something like that? So yeah, it threw me off a little bit. It took me a little bit to calibrate, but now that we know, we can figure it out. But when I like to do a little bit of show prep and try to pull some stats, but usually you can pull from the tables and the stats were a little bit of a mess.
No, not a little bit of a mess. They are a complete disaster right now. And it's not just because you can't find them, Eric. It's not because you haven't used them yet. Yeah. It's because they're not sorted the same way. They're not user friendly. It's just
which to their credit, the new page looks aesthetically pleasing, but as far as for what we do, it doesn't play. It doesn't help us. Good times. Guaranteed to be wrong prediction.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Go for it. For this game.
No, I don't want to. I don't.
You got to do it.
I was on
Super Chat said you had to.
I was on Mark Fishkin's Seeing Red podcast, which, by the way, Mark and I go back 13 seasons. Basically, been talking with Mark the whole deal, and so I went on Mark's and I said, I think the Galaxy are in a good spot. I think they're in a good position, but we just don't know enough about the Galaxy. So I said they're going to draw 2-2. And I'll stick with that. I know that's boring, but to me, the Galaxy are not a finished product. New York is a little bit of an unknown, as much of an unknown as Miami. And the Galaxy kind of got lucky to really, when you look at it, to come back. I mean, they did a good job, but they scored. They got their 3 goals in the second half. They did what they needed to do. But the first 60 minutes of that game was kind of a debacle whenever you look at how the Galaxy weren't able to progress into that attacking zone. Maybe they learned, and maybe it's easy. But for me, 2-2.
Yeah, a little bit similar. I think the Galaxy keep the train rolling. I think Chicharito stays hot. He keeps it rolling. He gets a goal. But I think they probably still make a mistake, probably still a little bit shaky. Araujo's first game back, playing with this mix. So I think they'll give up a goal, but I think they could hold on and win 2-1. Or possibly, with a tie game, 2-1 or 1-1, and then, Zubak comes off the bench and comes flying, does a karate kick. It bounces off a post and then hits Cameron Dunbar in the shin guard and goes in. Something wild's going to happen for that second goal.
By the way, I'm on here and I'm looking at my phone real quick because I got some messages. Sometimes the Galaxy will text me or something like that. I just want to make sure I don't miss anything in case maybe I said something wrong.
Careful with that name you drop. Sometimes the Galaxy will text me.
You don't know when we text at all times. All right. So you never know. 7:00 in the morning. Sure. Not a problem. But one of the Instagram accounts has breaking news. Sebastian Lejet will be suspended 2 games. And I'm like, wait a minute.
That's my news.
That's my news. They tagged me. It was fine. I
Fair
was just laugh. I'm like, I'm on here recording a show. I can't even put it out yet. And hold it. Anyway, this was just it was breaking news
Good stuff.
for people.
It's
I
fair.
want people
It's out there.
to tune in and get breaking news on occasion, just for them. Because you tuned into the show, you got it before everybody else. You could place your bets before everybody else. You got to do all your stuff. You could prank your friend or whatever you wanted to do. However you wanted to do it. Bet you $100 Sebastian doesn't play on Sunday. You could have done that, and you now have $100.
This was your chance.
This was your chance. All right, Eric, anything else you want to get to, or we are thoroughly talked out for tonight?
No, we're good. We're good to go. It felt good to be back, and wish everyone the best going back into the stadium. Enjoy yourself. Take care of yourself, and be loud. Be loud. You're going back for the first time in a long time. Let's be loud. Let's show those players that we appreciate them, and we're happy for them.
All right, Eric, tell people where they can find you. Let's go.
All right. As always, you can find me on Twitter at HammerEV. You can also find me on Instagram at Galaxy Profile. That's Galaxy Profoul.
All right, and if you're looking for me on Twitter, it's at JGuesman, JGUESMAN, and of course at Galaxy Podcast, cornerofthegalaxy.com. We got videos, we got stories, we got all your stuff right there, cornerofthegalaxy.com. We thank you for joining us tonight on Thursday night. We look forward to seeing you on Sunday. For Mr. Eric, the Portuguese Hammer Vieira, I'm Josh Pato Guesman. You've been watching Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Have a great one, everybody.
You've been listening to the Corner of the Galaxy podcast on cornerofthegalaxy.com. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Galaxy Podcast. And be sure to check out and subscribe to iTunes, Stitcher, and Facebook by searching for Corner of the Galaxy. Fans, we thank you for listening, and we ask that you be kind and courteous to your neighbors as you leave the podcast. We thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you again. Until then, I'm Michael Araujo, and on behalf of the entire Corner of the Galaxy crew, goodbye, everybody.